What's up, everybody? It's Miranda Alcaraz, and I'm here solo today for the pregnancy podcast. We are updating you. I am now today 19 weeks pregnant. Actually, it was yesterday, so it's Sunday. We normally film this on Friday, but we were out of town for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was this weekend, and we went home to my home where I grew up, Salt Lake City, Utah, to visit my family. So it was a big travel week, especially traveling during the holidays. It was crowded and there was a ton of snow in Utah. I have a big family. I have 4 brothers and a sister who are all there. Everyone lives there except for me, that we got to see over Thanksgiving. We were there for several days, but we didn't really do too much because of the snow. It was like was it Ezekiel? I think that was the name of the storm that was happening. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that's what I saw on the news. And Julian said it was the most snow he had ever been in driving around and stuff like that. So it was a really cool experience for him. Knox loved the snow, loved it so much. He couldn't understand the coldness on his hands. He kept saying that it was hurting his hands, like ouchy hands. And I kept trying to put gloves on him and he kept ripping them off. So maybe next time he'll get it. But he got to build a little snowman and play in the snow and everything. So I weighed myself this morning. I don't know if I'd mentioned this last week, but I didn't gain any weight from week 17 to 18. But I did gain, I think, just over a pound. So I'm at just over 10 pounds of weight that I've gained so far. We're almost to the halfway mark. But I know I was reading somewhere recently that from week, I want to say 30 to 40, the last 10 weeks is where the baby gains all of their weight. So you go into the third trimester and the baby's still only 1 pound. And then it gets all the way up to whatever it's going to be, 7, 8, 9, hopefully not, pounds by the time it comes out in that short period of time. So that's obviously the baby gaining weight, not me. I was actually Googling last night how much my placenta weighs at this point, because I remember my placenta was pretty big. And it's not something that they really talk about on the pregnancy apps and things like that. They always say how much the baby weighs at certain points. And I guess that's because there's not really a standard. They actually use the size of the placenta in the anatomy scan, which we're about to do this next week, as an indicator of whether or not the baby's going to be a certain size. I don't know. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. The baby is now the size of a mango, which sounds really big to me. And I can feel him moving so much. It's not enough yet to where if I tried to get Julian or Knox to feel him, that they would be able to feel it, but I can feel it a lot. The 2 times specifically during the day where I feel him the most are in the morning when I'm eating breakfast, or at night, when I'm trying to go to sleep, or in bed 9 to 10 p.m. And I do remember that's when Knox was really hyper too. And after Knox was born and he didn't sleep at all for a year and a half, he didn't sleep more than 2 hours for the first year and a half in a row. He was always really awake and hyper at the same time of night that he was hyper in my belly. And I'm really hoping that that's not the case again. We feel like we deserve a good sleeper this time because of what we went through with Knox, but who knows? I think it's really cool. On a lot of the apps and stuff, it says that the baby can hear now what's going on outside of the womb, which is cool. I always remember with Knox thinking that it was cool that he could hear my voice and Julian's voice and the Christmas music that I'm constantly listening to or whatever. But this time I always think about how he can hear Knox just being hilarious and laughing and talking to him this morning. Knox said hi to him and he said, "I'll see you soon," or he'll say, "What you doing in there?" or whatever. So I think that's kind of fun to think about, that he can hear his voice and that maybe he'll recognize Knox's voice, not just mine and Julian's when he comes out. So as far as the travel goes, I've traveled so much in my life that travel has to be really bad for it to really affect me. We are pretty good at traveling as a family at this point. Knox has traveled a lot for a 2-year-old. He knows all about the airplane. He knows that when he goes on the airplane, that means he gets to either play games on his little iPad, or we let him watch movies on the airplane, and he'll tell us the night before which movies he's planning on watching. And he knows all about the airplane and packing the bags. And when he wakes up in the morning and it's airplane day, he's pumped. So he did so great on the flight on the way there. And I mean, he wanted to sit on my lap the whole time, which wasn't the most comfortable. Now when he sits on my lap and I'm in kind of like a confined space like that, it's definitely, I tell him that he's squishing the baby. And this baby is getting a lot of Knox kicks and punches and knees and stuff like that, which he might as well get used to because he's the little brother, I guess. But the flight was great. Got off the plane. The only issue that we had, which kind of ruined the rest of our day, was we got to the rental car place. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and I was surprised that the flight went as smoothly and checking in and everything went as smoothly as it did. It wasn't really that crowded. We get to the rental place, and they do the whole paperwork. They do everything, and then they're like, okay, there's not a car ready yet, but we had like reserved it beforehand and said what time we were going to be there, and they accepted our reservation. And so they said, just go wait over there. Well, we're waiting, and we realized that there's a bunch of people waiting. And we're like, and Knox has, at this point, it's like maybe 2:00 in the afternoon. He hasn't taken a nap. He's hungry. We're hungry. The flight was short. It was only like an hour and a half. So even though he was starting to get tired toward the end of it, we didn't want him to fall asleep because then we would have had to wake him up. So the plan was to keep him awake until we get in the rental car. And then when we start driving, he would fall asleep and we can just drive around and keep him in the car for a little bit. Well, now we don't have a car and he's cranky and we're trying to watch our stuff. And Julian finally goes over and asks them, like, what's up with the car? Like, how long is this wait? They said, oh, probably like 45 minutes to an hour. And he was so mad. We were so mad. And I was just so worried. Knox was so hungry and we were starving. Julian was like hungry. And anyway, he went back to the counter and he's like, can I upgrade the car? Like, is that an option? And they said, oh, yeah, we have trucks. And he's like, oh, my gosh, give me a freaking truck. So we got a nice 4-door truck, which we were glad to have anyway because of the amount of snow. Took off. But at that point, we had waited quite a while and been in there for quite a while. And Knox fell asleep the moment we got in the car. But he didn't stay asleep for very long. We tried to go to my parents. He was screaming the moment that we took him out of the car. It was a disaster. So day one of travel, we literally ate and went back to our hotel and just stayed there. I felt fine. We packed our food. So we ate our normal breakfast before we left. We packed a meal to go with us. I had my perfect bar that I eat every day. And then we had a kitchen in our hotel, so Julian made some food for dinner. I didn't even eat out at all on the first day. And then the next day was Thanksgiving, had our normal breakfast. We worked out in the hotel gym, which is never fun, especially this hotel. They have no music in there. It's like stuffy. We're at like 5,000 feet of elevation. And so we did the workout. I modified it. So this workout had running in it. And I can run right now, but I usually get a little bit of pubic bone pain if I try to run. So the options were not the options that I have at home. At home, I would jump on our assault bike and do the bike version of the street parking workout. But the hotel had treadmills or a recumbent bike or an elliptical trainer. And I was not going to substitute the recumbent bike or elliptical trainer, not because there's necessarily anything wrong with it, but I think it's just my functional fitness ego would not allow me to do that. So I subbed step-ups for the running and just kept it around the same amount of time that the run would have taken. And it was rough because the other movement was thrusters. And I did step-ups on the bench. So that was cool. Thanksgiving. Let's talk about Thanksgiving pregnant. I think a lot of people assume, oh my gosh, what could be better than Thanksgiving dinner when you have the excuse of pregnancy and just cravings and eating? Newsflash for those of you who have never been pregnant, you can't fit that much food in your stomach at this point. Like, it's all shoved up into your rib cage. So if you tried to eat even what normal people eat on Thanksgiving and kind of go for it, you're going to feel so full. I'm not really that into Thanksgiving food anyway. I would much rather crush like pizza or Mexican food or something like that if I was really going to go for it. I definitely ate different foods than I would normally eat. I wouldn't say that I ate a ton of food. My family's big on desserts. So I had some turkey. I had some mashed potatoes. Stuffing is my favorite. When I was in junior high or high school, I used to make stuffing for like a meal. Like that was like, I would make a box of stuffing when I got home from school and eat it. So obviously did not know much about nutrition yet. But I would use fat-free margarine because I was worried about the fat, but not the carbs. So I had the stuffing. I had a roll with butter on it, which is so good. I really love that too. My family's not big on veggies. I think the only veggie option was like some green bean casserole with bacon in it, which I had. But then there was like a pecan cheesecake pie and then like a regular pecan pie and a pumpkin pie and these little things called magic cookie bars, which are my favorite. My little sister made some pumpkin cookies. There was a lot of treats and I did taste all of them because if I'm going to eat, see, I won't go crazy on like the food, but I do love baked goods. And I'm big on baked goods. So I did taste all of those. I wouldn't say I had a serving of all of them, but I did taste all of them. The pecan pie cheesecake was definitely my favorite. If you've never had that, my mom made it. It was so good. But definitely felt full. Julian ate more than I did because, again, my stomach can only fit so much. And we had a great Thanksgiving. Knox played in the snow. We ran up and down in the snow. And it was awesome. The next day, it was so snowy that we didn't really do too much. Julian wanted to go Black Friday shopping, but because it was so snowy and even just getting around, and then when you go into where we were staying, where I grew up, is very close to like a really nice mall. So he wanted to go there. He wanted to go to Lululemon, and he talked about going to Best Buy, which sounds dumb on the day after Thanksgiving, but we didn't end up going anywhere. We visited one friend of mine and went to my parents for a few hours. My mom came to work out with me that morning, though, which was super cool. My mom is 67 years old, has had 2 knee replacements, and she texted me in the morning. She was like, "Hey, have you worked out yet?" And I was like, "No." And she said, "Well, I want to come work out with you. So I'm going to come." And so we worked out together. We both did a version of the street parking shift workout, which is like the more scaled version. I can still do burpees. People ask me this question all the time, like, how are you still doing burpees? It's very simple. You put your hands down first. You step back, or even if you jump back, you put your knees down and you touch your chest, but you don't put your belly on the ground. So you just control it more than most people control burpees. And you can really do a burpee without your stomach touching the ground. It's quite simple, actually. And then you step back in, or if you're feeling good, you jump back in, and there you go. You have your burpee. So I see a lot of people making pregnant burpees a lot more complicated than they need to be. I'm a big fan of the elevated pregnant burpee if getting up and down gets hard because you're heavy and your belly's big. But you don't need to like put plates down or create some sort of hole for your belly. Just keep your butt up a little higher in the air and don't touch your stomach. You have to actually do a push-up. That's the problem that most people have is they don't just slam themselves down. So that workout was good, felt good. Really the only symptoms I would say that I'm having right now are that my low back gets super tight when I'm trying to sleep. Not at any other time, not when I'm working out, not when I was carrying Knox all through the airport or with my backpack and had luggage, not when I'm sitting working, just when I'm trying to sleep. And I think it was worse on this trip because we were in a hotel and I didn't have my like pregnancy body pillow and the mattress was softer than our mattress at home. So the back has been tight and I definitely could use adding in more stretching and just like thoughtfulness with taking care of my hips and all that stuff. And then my boobs hurt really bad when I'm working out. I mean, it's I have a pretty tight bra on, but I do remember this happening last time where it was like really painful actually. And it's just going to get worse. Like I remember thinking that they hurt so bad when I was pregnant with Knox and then realizing that it was nothing compared to when you're actually like breastfeeding, how bad they hurt. So if you're listening to this and this is your first pregnancy, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But yeah, and then just feeling him. So those are really the only symptoms. We ended up picking a doula. She does not live here, which is a little scary. She lives in Wisconsin, which is not that close. But the plan is to have her come. So she's one of the creators of BirthFit. Her name is Erica, and I've met her one time when I went to a BirthFit seminar and then spoken to her. She's a street parking member, so is her mom, which is really cool. She's a chiropractor. She's got 4 sons and a doula, obviously. So she will come here 5 days before my due date and stay 5 days after, which is definitely going to be more expensive than if I just had like a one or 2 day doula. But because I'm in a new place, if I was at the same midwifery and things like that, I think I'd feel a little bit more comfortable. But I just don't know anyone here. So we're going to try to make it the best experience possible. And while the birth last time was not complicated and it was very safe and healthy, it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And I had a great doula in Southern California that I really liked. And I do know that it makes a difference. So yeah, she'll be coming and we're going to work all of that out, but we're really excited about that. I think we're like 80 to 90% sure we're going to do it, the birth at the midwifery that we went and visited. I do love the idea of being at home, but I know we're not close to a hospital there. And for Julian, especially his peace of mind, I think he would feel more comfortable and he's more worried about it even than I would be to not be close to a hospital. So this midwifery is like 3 blocks away from a hospital. They have doctors that they work with there. It'll be much more closely monitored and easy to move me if we are at this birthing center. So I'm a huge fan of the home birth, but I think we're going to end up kind of like in that middle ground birth center. So this upcoming week, we have the anatomy scan, and I'm so pumped. We have not seen an ultrasound of this baby for 13 weeks now. And really, the ultrasound was like a dot on a black screen last time. But with how much he's moving and everything, I know it's just going to be so awesome to see him. And hopefully they won't be weird about us videoing it so that we can take it home and show Knox. I thought about bringing Knox, but I don't want him to be like, if he's cranky or something, it'll kind of not ruin it, but make it hard for us to feel connected to the experience. So we'll try to video it and take it home to him and show him that afterwards. Yeah, other than that, feeling pretty good. You know, I now that I can feel him, and I was thinking about this morning because I'm not having a ton of symptoms, kind of what I wanted to talk about on the podcast today, and I can feel him a lot. And this is kind of like a message to pregnant women. I'm not someone who loves being pregnant. There are women who love it. Like they love it so much that, oh my gosh, it's like the greatest feeling. And I get that a little bit. I get it more now because I have my child. So I know how special it's going to be. But I do remember as my due date got closer and closer with Knox, having this feeling of sadness that he was no longer going to be with me all the time, like literally inside my belly, that I was going to almost miss him in a way. And I was sad a little bit when he was outside of my belly, which sounds weird because I know when you're pregnant, you're thinking like, just get the baby out of me and I just want to meet him. But that's the closest, and you can never get that back. Like there's no going back to that time. So I do, now that I can feel him, that relationship just gets stronger and stronger. And there's that moment where it's like the first feeling that I'm guessing that you get when your kid like goes off to college, where they're still your kid and you talk to them and things, but it's not the same as when they're close and in your home every single day. it's similar, I would guess, to when they're with you in your body 24/7, sleeping right now while I'm talking to you, everything. And then from that moment that they come out, it's like they get more and more independent, and that starts that whole cycle, right? So definitely going to try to enjoy the next 21 weeks and really bond with him. And this is my last pregnancy unless something happens that is unplanned. So really just try to enjoy this period of my life that will be the last time for it. So that's it. We're going to have our anatomy scan in 2 days. Can't wait. We'll update you guys about that. But hope you're having a good holiday season and stay safe out there in the snow and ice. We'll talk to you next time.